The first thing is to kind of connect to your approach about the personal, organizational, and systemic approach to these things. What we're attempting to do is to sort of complete the circle and bring the systemic back into the personal. One of the things that is relatively easy and has been done very successfully by business schools and others is to replicate learning when it's at a rational level. The question is, how do you replicate learning at the emotional and spiritual level? Particularly the ethical and spiritual kind of leadership. It's very much experiential. It's very much dependent on the context in the room. It's very much dependent on the skills of the individual facilitator and their beliefs and so on and so forth. So you get a great environment. You can get a great solution. But it's not really replicable, and it's not something that's transferable through 9 million people on the globe. It'll stick with a few hundred. How can we systemize an approach for leadership that enables it to be reproducible, but at the same time allows it to be contextual and personal? And I think that the basic point is with what we're trying to do is to get people to think about being proactive in rewiring their own brain rather than have their brain rewired for them. And so you have to give people a certain amount of knowledge and you have to give people certain skills, but then you have to let them get on with it, or at least provide the environment where they can do it. The more we think about that, the more that is the future of learning, and it's the way things are happening. But I do believe that what we are offering for leaders is not very different from what we should be doing mainstream from the age of 2 or 3 with all our children, around the world.
Yeah, because it's nearly too late. By the time someone is self-selected into doing an MBA, it's almost too late.
Yes, exactly. And so it needs to be that each individual has the ability to function in their own complex world. And then the dots have to be joined up. I think it is very much a systemic issue, but I think we have to keep on bringing it back to unless the individual takes the initiative. And as a first step, I think that where do we start with this? It's very much a chicken and egg thing, but I think very much we have to start with the leader. And we need, if we don't have a few of the right kind of leaders to start this process off, then we'll never get to where we want to go. Because if you have leaders who are trying to do this systematic approach, this new systematic approach, but they're all ego-driven, like typical, large organizations and consulting companies, because all they're thinking about is what is the benefit for them. Even if it's long term, it's still about the benefit for them. That as long as we're thinking about that, we're not going to have the kind of leaders we need to do the kind of things that you are talking about.